Beware if you dare to leave.
There's two ways of leaving the Sea Organization. One is what's called a blow, an unauthorized departure.
What's a blow?
A blow is an unauthorized departure as somebody escapes or takes off. They're gone. They're blown. We call it blown.
What other security measures?
Every week we would have a thing called renovations, which we did on Saturdays, and we would install ultra barrier on all the fences, it's about a 2 to 3 inch razor barrier. So if you were trying to get in from the outside or out from the inside, you would get sliced up by those.
You get at different lengths of spikes, 4 inch, 6 inch, 8 inch. We had a series of devices in play. We had infrared sensors, motion sensors, and fence shakers to detect human presence. We had microphones underground that would get dialed in and tested. A fence shaker activates lights right away. A cluster of 4 1,500-watt quartz lights that would light up a stadium.
So if somebody climbs over the fence from the inside, that sets off an alarm in that main security booth, and all those floodlights all around the entire property turn on.
They could light it up like a baseball stadium, and then the security force that could be dispatched at any moment, and they would drill that response time to make it faster.
So they have the security rover bikes, and they also have an SUV that can drive around all the roads. So if you do escape over the fence, they're gonna know the instant it happens.
On the few occasions that I did manage to run away, I was tackled and brought back physically. One of the men that tackled me was a guy named Chris Geider, who was an ex-professional Australian football player. He was big, and I couldn't go up against that.
If somebody does penetrate the perimeter and get out, what happens?
Someone who blows is someone who escapes. It was considered to be a very bad thing.
Yes, we got another one. We're gonna have to initiate the blow drill.
The blow drill varied depending on the nature of the person who blew. And so the closer they were to David Miscavige, the more intense the drill would become.
The reason for the blow drill is because people who were privy to a lot of information about the goings-on of David Miscavige or what really happened at international headquarters were considered to be a threat. And thus, there was a great deal of time, effort, and money expended in tracking these people down and trying to get them back on the reservation.
I need you to get me all the personnel files on this person right here.
Right away.
First thing it would entail is going through all the personnel folders to figure out all the different places that this person might go. We'd get possibilities down to, okay, well, he's talked about his parents in auditing session about longing to see them, so we're pretty sure he's going that way.
He's driving a gray sedan. Keep your eyes open for that.
We would get groups of people calling motels along that route to see if somebody's there.
Hello, is this the Sunnyside Motel?
If the person's there,
Can you tell me when he checked out?
boom. The earlier you cut them off, the more likely you are to recover them.
There's a crew of about, I don't know, maybe 50 people on the property, and they each have an assigned task. Certain people are assigned to go to the nearest bus station. Certain people are assigned to go to the nearest airport. Some people are assigned to call the taxi companies to find out if anyone's called for a taxi nearby. They go to all of the local hotels. They go to the local hospitals.
We'll send you to the bus station, you to the airport. You start monitoring the scanners and listen to the taxi traffic, see if there's any requests to pick anybody up locally.
And checking flights.
And checking flights. You could call up and run this person's name. Oh, yep, he's got a flight booked. Find out where their parents are.
They'll send somebody to the mother's house in San Francisco to just sit outside the house and wait for you to show up.
Some people were high-speed chases, literally.
If you didn't get them within the 6-8 hours, you would hit a whole different level of sophistication. We'd get their credit card information, their bank account information, and check to see what their spending habits were. We did the same things with the phone companies.
If the person does have a phone, they immediately log into that phone account and go through all the calls that person's made and find out who those people there called.
I go through people's mail, collect their life history, their mother's maiden name, driver's licenses, birth certificates, passports. I'd monitor their bank accounts, monitor their phone usage.
When they find the person, they're usually going to get somebody that that person knows, or that's a good friend of that person, or if it's a family member of that person that's in Scientology, to then talk them back. Like, oh no, you don't want to do this.
You get who's going to impinge on him the most. His best friend, his senior. You get them in a car, boom. They're at the place, bam, bam, bam. Open the door, get him in there, high pressure.
You need to take a seat.
The last resort was to use what we call severe reality adjustment.
Where were you? Where you been? We know a lot more about you than you think we do. You can't just disappear like that.
And that means getting right up in somebody's grill and overwhelming them with volume.
When were you planning on coming back? Sorry, okay?
To the point where they're reduced to some weakened state where they're changing their ways.
The other way is to route out. And that is a term used to describe the steps that one must take to leave the Sea Organization and remain not an enemy of Scientology.
When actor Jason Begay tried to leave, he had a visit from a church official.
He comes over to my house with these thick, loose-leaf binders with information, an awful photograph. And then it was all this stuff. This guy wears a dress, and all this stuff just going on and on.
They have these lawyers, these Scientology lawyers. Hey, you got to sign these papers. Everybody's been good to you, right? You haven't witnessed anything. What about the boss, David Miscavige? He's been good to you. He's a good guy. Person's like, yes, yes, yes. And then they video the whole thing.
You have high regards for the staff that you work with.
Very.
How about the boss?
Big.
Talking about David Miscavige.
Anybody will say anything just to leave. That should tell you something. They're willing to say anything just to get out.
You know, I would have signed that, you know, I stabbed babies over and over again and loved it. I would have done anything, basically, at that point.